What happens when a famous movie star finally decides to tell his secrets? When the mystery is gone, and the man with the famous mustache tells everyone everything. At 81 years old, Sam Elliott leans back in his leather chair. His famous voice rumbles like faraway thunder, and for the first time in many years, he is ready to say their names, not the movie roles that made him a star, not the characters that everyone loved, but the women who were most important to him. 7 actresses who were more than just co-stars to the cowboy who became a legend. The person asking questions leans in, almost scared to interrupt. Sam's eyes, still sharp and clear even though he is older, have a little spark of fun. The same look that made people love him in the movie Tombstone, in The Big Lebowski, and in A Star is Born. But this talk is not about his movies. This is about the man he was when the cameras were off. The nights when filming was over and the real Sam Elliott came out of the shadows. He slowly takes a drink of whiskey, enjoying the taste, and his famous mustache moves with something that is both a smile and a secret. The room gets very quiet, and the only sound is the wind blowing through the trees outside his house in Malibu. This is the story his fans have wanted to hear for 50 years. The women who got the attention of Hollywood's most mysterious star. The actresses who looked past his quiet way of talking and his rough look to see the passion hidden inside. Sam Elliott never tried to be super famous like other actors did. He didn't try to get into the gossip papers or play all the Hollywood games. He was always the strong, quiet type, both in movies and in real life. But that silence, that mystery, just made people more interested in him. Women were attracted to him, and some of the most beautiful and talented actresses of their time found themselves pulled into his world. Catherine Ross was the first to feel his magic, though their story became a famous Hollywood love story for other reasons. They met while making the movie The Legacy in 1978. At first, they were just 2 actors doing their jobs, nothing more. But Sam remembers the exact moment things changed. It wasn't during a romantic scene or a fancy dinner. It was between camera shots, when Catherine was fixing her hair and saw him looking at her in the mirror. She turned around, smiled, and a special feeling passed between them that had nothing to do with the movie. What everyone else saw was a perfect romance that ended in marriage. What they didn't know was the powerful attraction that pulled them together from that very first look. Catherine wasn't just another girlfriend or a short Hollywood fling. She was the woman who understood that under Sam's tough outside was a man who was very kind and thoughtful. Their connection wasn't fake for the cameras. It was wild, real, and impossible to ignore. But before Catherine, there were other women who knew Sam Elliott when he was still trying to become famous, still wondering if his deep voice and unique look would ever make it in Hollywood. These were the actresses who saw something special in the tall, mustached cowboy from Sacramento before the whole world knew his name. Sybil Shepherd was very famous from her success in The Last Picture Show when they met in the middle of the 1970s. She was like Hollywood royalty, the kind of beautiful blonde who could have any movie star she wanted. But there was something about Sam's quiet strength that interested her. He didn't try to wow her with stories about his small career or his big dreams. He just was himself in his magnetic way, letting who he was speak for itself. Their time together was short but very strong, hidden from the gossip writers who were more interested in Sybil's relationships with famous directors and producers. What pulled her to Sam wasn't his Hollywood friends or his star power, because he didn't have any back then. It was his realness in a town full of fakes, his down-to-earth nature in a business that specializes in dreams. Sam's voice gets low and rough as he remembers those secret moments with Sybil, hotel rooms in small towns where they were filming, late-night car rides through the desert where they could be themselves without everyone watching. She showed him that wanting someone didn't always have to be difficult, that sometimes 2 people could find each other for no other reason than they just fit together perfectly. even if it was only for a little while. The third name he says feels heavier, and he says it with more care. Farrah Fawcett. It was at the most famous point of her career. America's sweetheart with her golden hair and bright smile that was on a million posters. But behind her public image was a woman looking for something real, something deeper than the surface-level relationships that filled Hollywood. Sam met Farrah at a charity event in 1979, long before anyone knew how famous they would both become. She was magnetic in a way that was more than just her beauty. There was a softness under her confidence, a look in her eyes that most people missed because they were too busy looking at everything else. Their connection was instant but difficult. Farrah was in a relationship with Lee Majors, though it was already having problems that the gossip papers didn't know about yet. Sam was still building his career as an actor who played smaller parts, still years away from being the main star he would become. What they found in each other was an escape from the pressures that came with their different levels of fame. Their relationship lasted 6 months and happened in secret places, away from photographers and gossip writers. Sam remembers Farrah as a woman who laughed easily but was careful with her love. Someone who understood that their relationship was in a safe bubble that would pop under the bright light of everyone watching. When it ended, they both understood that they had given each other exactly what they needed at just the right time. But maybe the most surprising name Sam shares is Glenn Close. This was years before the movie Fatal Attraction made her a huge star, when she was still mainly known as a theater actress with serious acting training. They acted together in a TV movie that everyone has forgotten, except for the two people who found something special in each other. During those few weeks of filming, Glenn was different from the other women in Sam's life. She challenged his thinking, pushed him to be a better actor, and refused to be impressed by his natural charm until he showed he had real talent to back it up. Their relationship was about growing as artists just as much as it was about physical attraction, though the spark between them was obvious to everyone on set. Sam's eyes look far away as he remembers long talks that went until the sun came up. Glenn's sharp intelligence meeting his own quiet wisdom. She saw right through his quiet cowboy character to the thinking man underneath. And he saw the passionate woman hiding behind her professional outside. Their affair was short but changed them both. Each one left a mark on the other's way of acting and their understanding of what it means to truly connect with another person. The room gets even quieter as Sam gets ready to tell the remaining names. Each one carries its own important memories. The famous actor who built his career on being the strong, silent type is finally ready to stop being silent, to share the stories that shaped not just his private life, but what he learned about love, wanting, and the complicated dance between two people who find themselves pulled together. The fifth name that Sam says carries a feeling of sadness for what could have been. Cher was already a super famous singer and actress when they met in the early 1980s, a woman who got everyone's attention just by entering a room. But what really caught Sam's attention wasn't her fame or her big personality. It was the moments when the bright lights were off, and he saw the sensitive woman under the shiny clothes and the confidence. They met at a Hollywood party that Sam went to even though he didn't want to, never liking the chatting and small talk that the movie business runs on. Cher found him on a balcony, holding a beer and looking at the city lights below like fallen stars. She didn't come up to him with the boldness everyone expected from a woman who had succeeded in both music and movies. Instead, she seemed a little shy, asking if she could share the quiet space with him. What happened next was 3 months of secret moments that were the opposite of what everyone thought they knew about both of them. Sam, the quiet cowboy who rarely showed his feelings, found himself completely open with Cher's honest talk about her worries and doubts. She, the brave performer who seemed fearless on stage, found a safe place in Sam's steady presence. and his ability to just listen without judging. Their relationship happened in hidden spots all over Los Angeles. Late night drives along the coast where Cher would forget her glamorous image and just be a woman who laughed at Sam's dry jokes about how silly Hollywood could be. Hotel rooms where she would snuggle against his chest and share her fears that no one could love the real her, not just the famous icon she had become. Sam remembers how Cher would relax when they were alone, how her famous voice would get quiet when she told him about growing up feeling different, like she never really belonged anywhere. He became her safe place from a world that demanded she be amazing every single minute. And in return, she pushed him to accept his own star power instead of hiding from it, encouraging him to take chances that would later define his career. It ended not because they stopped caring, but because their situation was impossible. Cher's career needed constant public attention, while Sam did his best work away from the spotlight. They both knew their relationship wouldn't survive everyone watching and talking about them if they went public. The goodbye was gentle but final, both understanding they had given each other something precious that would last much longer than their time as a couple. Jessica Lange was maybe the most unexpected part of Sam's love life. She was very famous from her success in the movies Tootsie and Frances when they met at a film festival in 1983. Jessica acted with the confidence of a woman who had shown she was more than just a pretty face. But Sam sensed something restless under her calm surface. Their connection started because they both felt the same way about how Hollywood sometimes treats actors like products instead of artists. Jessica was fighting to be seen as a serious dramatic actress, while Sam was trying to move past the smaller character parts that defined his career. They found comfort in each other's understanding of the movie business's frustrations and the loneliness that can come with success. What brought them together was how much they both valued being real in a world full of fakes. Jessica was fascinated by Sam's refusal to play Hollywood's games, his happiness with being exactly who he was. Sam was drawn to Jessica's fierce intelligence and her refusal to give up her artistic beliefs for an easier road to fame. Their relationship lasted 8 months and happened mostly in different towns where they were filming movies. Sam remembers Jessica as a woman who pushed him to understand his characters better, to find emotional truths he had been scared to look for. The physical spark between them was strong, but it was their mental connection that really tied them together. Long talks about books, big ideas, and the job of artists to show the truth. Jessica saw a depth in Sam that most movie directors missed, and he saw in her a dedication to acting that matched his own quiet commitment. Their parting was inevitable but friendly, each one recognizing that their careers were taking them in different directions. Jessica was moving toward the main female roles that would define her legacy, while Sam was starting to find his place as the strong, silent presence that would become his trademark. They stayed friends long after their romance was over, each one keeping respect for what the other had taught them about love and art. The seventh and final name, Sam says, has the most mystery, maybe because it shows a path he didn't take. Stockard Channing was already known as one of Hollywood's most respected serious actresses when they met in the middle of the 1980s. She had a quality that made her different from every other woman Sam had known, a down-earth feeling that reminded him of his own beginnings, mixed with an intelligence that could see through any phoniness. Their meeting was almost an accident. They were both at the same small play in Los Angeles. They were both drawn to the small theater because they both loved honest, powerful storytelling. They ended up at the same coffee shop after the show, talking about the performance with the passion of two people who really understood the art they had given their lives to. What happened next was the most complicated relationship of Sam's life. Not because of outside problems, but because of the deep feelings that grew between them. Stockard saw through his cowboy character right away, understanding the thoughtful, complex man under the quiet outside. Sam found himself completely open with her mix of strength and softness, her ability to be both powerful and gentle at the same time. Their connection was more than just physical, even though the attraction between them was magnetic. They took long walks in Griffith Park. Their conversations went from childhood memories to big discussions about the nature of truth in stories. Stockard challenged what Sam thought about himself and his place in the world, while he gave her a sense of stability that her intense career made hard to find. The relationship lasted 2 years, the longest of any of Sam's relationships besides his marriage to Catherine Ross. But it ended not from a lack of love, but from having too much of it. They both realized that what they felt for each other was too powerful, too all-consuming, to live together with the careers that defined them. They made the painful choice to step away before their connection ruined everything else they had built. Sam's voice gets quiet as he finishes his story. The weight of many years settles around him like dust in the growing dark. These 7 women shaped not just what he knew about desire, but his understanding of what it means to truly connect with another person. Each relationship taught him something new about love, about being open, about the bravery it takes to completely open your heart to someone else. The person asking questions moves forward, feeling that Sam's trip down memory lane isn't totally over. There's something in the way his wrinkled hands hold the whiskey glass, a tightness that hints at one last secret waiting to be told. The quiet between them feels like everyone is holding their breath, and when Sam finally talks again, his voice sounds different, deeper, less sure. There's something else, he says, and for the first time in the whole conversation, his famous confidence shakes. Something I've never told anyone, not even Catherine. The room becomes incredibly still. Outside, the wind has stopped completely, as if the whole world is leaning in to listen. Sam's eyes are focused on something beyond the interviewer, beyond the room, beyond right now. 1976. I was nobody then, just another tall, skinny guy hoping for a chance. There was this woman, this amazing woman who could have had any man in Hollywood, and she probably did. But for 3 weeks she picked me. He stops, seeming to think about whether he should go on. The mustache that became his trademark was barely there then. Just a little scruff, and a lot of hope, and a kind of raw charm that couldn't be faked. Raquel Welch, he finally says, and the name stays in the air like smoke from a fire that's almost out. She was everything I wasn't. Elegant, experienced, happy with who she was in ways I was still figuring out. I was acting in some Western movie no one remembers, and she was between films, having meetings, being the famous Raquel Welch. Sam's memory takes him back to a different Hollywood, one where movie stars still had mystery, and it was possible to have privacy if you knew where to go. Raquel wasn't just the beautiful sex symbol the world saw in those famous posters and magazines. She was a woman looking for something real under the carefully built image that had made her famous. We met at a simple bar in Venice Beach. Not the Venice Beach you know today, but a rougher, forgotten area where actors went to be unnoticed for a while. She was sitting alone at the end of the bar wearing sunglasses, even though it was almost midnight. I knew who she was right away, but something about how she sat told me she didn't want to be noticed. Sam ordered a beer and didn't bother anyone, the way he was taught to do, but Raquel surprised him by speaking first, asking if he had a light for her cigarette. Her voice was different than he thought it would be, softer, more delicate than the confident voice that had made so many people dream. She told me later she picked me because I was the only man in the bar who didn't stare, didn't try to impress her or buy her a drink or pretend we knew each other from somewhere. I was just there in my own space, and it turned out that was exactly what she needed. What came next was nothing like anything Sam had known with the other women. Raquel was older, knew more, and carried herself with the confidence of someone who had already taken on the world and found it disappointing. But under that confidence was a loneliness that matched his own, a searching feeling that pulled them together even though they were so different. Their time together happened in secret places all over Los Angeles. Raquel's house in the hills where she would cook for him, wearing nothing but one of his shirts, moving around the kitchen with a homely grace that was the opposite of what everyone thought about her. Long car rides along the coast, where she would let her hair down and just be a woman having a good time with a man who saw past the famous image to the real person inside. She was giving, Sam remembers, his voice becoming gentle. Not with money or presents, but with herself. She told him parts of her life that never got into the magazine interviews. The hard times, the deals she had to make, the cost of becoming a symbol before she was prepared for how heavy it would be. Sam puts down his whiskey glass and looks right at the interviewer, then past him to the camera that has been recording every word. The daytime light has faded to evening outside his Malibu home, and the shadows have grown long across the room where Holly, Wood's most mysterious cowboy, has finally stopped being silent. These women, he says, his voice carrying the weight of many years and the knowledge of a man who has loved deeply and let go gracefully. They taught me that wanting someone isn't something you can write in a script or plan. It's something that happens in the unspoken moments, in the spaces where two people choose to be honest with each other. The mustache moves one last time, and Sam Elliott, at 81 years old, looks exactly like what he is. A man who has lived a full life, loved with his whole heart, and found calm in sharing his story. The legend behind the quiet way of talking has told his truth, and somehow the mystery is still there.